Welcome to Module 3. You're officially halfway through the course. Congratulations. In our first module, we talked about where we are and what our situations are, what's happening in our school systems, what's happening across the country. In Module 2, we looked back at history to identify why these patterns may be happening. Why did these systemic barriers develop? Now we're going to be looking at where we fit into all of this. So out of all of the modules, I believe this one is where it becomes the most uncomfortable. This is our biggest chance for growth here. And in this module, I simply ask that you all be brave. Don't shy away from the questions. Don't overgeneralize. Step out, tell what you see, explain how you feel it, and allow that growth to happen. This is also the very first time when I'm going to ask you to start thinking about your first very honest, very open conversation with someone who's experienced a different situation of yours in regards to race and ethnicity. You'll see in this module you have a little bit less to read because we're going to be completing one of the books, which is very exciting. And you have fewer articles, to read and fewer things to view. This module is what I call the breather module because there isn't a project due, and that's simply because I want you really to start focusing on this counter storytelling project that is due at the end of the course. The counter storytelling project can be very difficult for some because you have to step out and have a courageous conversation with someone who is different from you in regards to race and ethnicity. So I want you to start thinking and considering, who do you know, even if it has to be somebody that you're comfortable with, that you already have a friendship with, that you can step out and have that conversation. So in the counter storytelling project, it's attached right here at the top of our module overview. So make sure you go in, you read it, and you start to consider who that person is. So by the end of this first week, you should have identified your person and contacted them so that you can make sure that you can set up an interview time. You don't want to run this down to the end of Module 3 where you don't know who the person is or you haven't set up an interview time yet, because it will take you a bit then to have the interview, accumulate all of the pieces, put the evidence to it, and then write the project for the end of class. So in this counter storytelling project, please do not feel that you need to go outside of class materials, but you are totally welcome to do that. You have to have that openness because I don't know who you're going to interview, and I don't know what background information you're going to need to support the situation that this person has experienced. Irving and Coates are going to be great resources for this counter storytelling project. So when you're looking to put together evidence of these types of barriers being in place, you're going to look to those two books first. They seem to be the ones that most students use whenever they're doing this activity. So if you have any questions about the counter storytelling project, please make sure that you email them to me. I've already gotten a couple, and I appreciate that you're already thinking ahead and getting a move on it. So as you go through this, I want you to take a look at, we have a couple of things that you're going to view. First off, we're going to be finishing up the difference between us with the power of illusion. And I also have this Between the World and Me. This is a discussion from Coates. If you have time to look at this, it's really helpful to see his perspective as he was writing, but it's also extremely helpful just to hear it from his own voice and see it from his own face. And then, of course, How Students of Color Confront Imposter Syndrome, I think, is just a fantastic piece of looking at students and what they're being confronted with. In our discussion forums, when you go to our discussion forums, does it matter is a really intense question I'm going to be asking you. I'm asking you to go back to what we did in Module 1, which was the implicit bias test, and actually examine, does that matter to anything that you do? How does that affect the way that we impact or that our conversations, that our interactions are impacted? This is one where you're going to have to be brave. Really consider it based on your new learning. Does it matter? Remember, we are not colorblind. We cannot be colorblind. It's not in us. We think maybe that we're doing a good job at being colorblind, and we're not. So really consider our interactions as you go through that one. Passing the knowledge. Oh, hello, Danielle. Thank you very much. So passing the knowledge is finding out how you first learned about race and ethnicity, and looking at that narrative, what you were told, who actually told you, and how they passed that knowledge to you. And this always gets to be a kind of an interesting forum because some people have never really been taught about race and ethnicity. But I guarantee you that if you are a person of a different race and ethnicity from middle class white, you've been taught. And it's interesting to see the difference in how these things need to go down in families. And then, of course, your 3 C's. So in the Singleton book, we learn about our 3 C's. And so I'm asking you in this one just to identify your 3 C's and to talk about those in regards to your life. So as you can see, folks have already been in. Good job. I know a lot of you like to put down a lot of work in the weekends so that you have time during the week now that we're doing online schooling, so that you have a little bit more time to be offline during the week, and I appreciate that very much. Make sure that you're still tempering your time and spending time with your family and not living the online life so much that you're unable to disconnect. Okay? Please let me know if you're having any issues. Please continue to interact with your colleagues in the way that you have. I really appreciate the professional manner. Don't be afraid to question each other. This is where the growth happens. I look forward to seeing you in the discussion boards. Thank you.